Hi, and welcome. Thanks for tuning in to this year's BiblioShare Talk at TechForum 2024. My name is Tim Middleton, and I am the Product Manager for BNC BiblioShare here at BookNet. Before I get started, BookNet Canada and its operations are remote, and our colleagues contribute their work from the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Wyandot, the Mi'kmaq, the Ojibwa of Fort William First Nation, the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, which includes the Ojibwa, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi, and the Métis, the original nations and peoples of the lands we now call Beaton, Brampton, Guelph, Halifax, Thunder Bay, Toronto, Vaughan, and Windsor. We encourage you to visit the native-land.ca website to learn more about the peoples whose lands you are joining from today. Moreover, BookNet endorses the calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada and supports an ongoing shift from gatekeeping to space-making in the book industry. The book industry has long been an industry of gatekeeping. Anyone who works at any stage of the book supply chain carries a responsibility to serve readers by publishing, promoting, and supplying works that represent the wide extent of human experiences and identities in all that complicated intersectionality. We at BookNet are committed to working with our partners in the industry as we move towards a framework that supports space-making, which ensures that marginalized creators and professionals all have the opportunity to contribute, work, and lead. In spirit of that acknowledgement, I confirm BookNet's and my own responsibility to mend the sacred hoop with Canada's Indigenous peoples, to be an ally to all Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and to unite and work alongside one another. If I had to sum up the year from the perspective of the supply chain, then I would say it was like watching one of my favorite TV shows, just as it gets crazier and crazier. Perhaps Breaking Bad Season 6, The Supply Chain, or The Wire, Following the Supply Chain. You can imagine the writers in the writer's room pitching the ideas. First we had Season 1, the pandemic season. You can hear the writers in the back room laughing, saying, "No one will believe this." Season 2, the Suez Canal crisis. Again, laughter in the writer's room, and then that huge thing gets stuck. And now, in Season 3, the apocalyptic season, war, drought, and catastrophe. Backroom writers are really pushing the envelope here. One thing on my mind at BookNet is how to survive all of these crazier and crazier events happening in the supply chain. And one of the best ways to survive the apocalypse, in my humble opinion, is to have the right people around you. BookNet is an organization that believes in having the right people and getting work done. This brings me around, in a roundabout way, to talking about one of our bigger new things for BiblioShare in 2023, and that is our two new product coordinators. If you haven't met them already, then meet Stephanie Small and Shivanjan Carmaker. They both come to BookNet with a passion for reading, metadata, and technology. For our BiblioShare team, that means a lot. We are appreciating the ability to move with a little more agility on support and projects, which leads us to the golden fleece of meaning. Some of the areas that Stephanie and Shivanjan have been working in are deepening their understanding of the Onyx standard so that they can support our clients with their Onyx needs. To date, the two of them have helped us carry forward support for BiblioShare projects and users. For Catalyst, especially, Shivanjan and Stephanie are bridging the two platforms in a more official capacity. That's very helpful for both of our teams. Another huge task that Stephanie has taken the lead on is helping migrate our 2.1 custom projects to 3.0. Considering there is no support for additions to the Onyx 2.1 code list, the landscape is still very much a 2.1 landscape in North America. But as we move further and further away from 2.1, everyone needs to deal with their technical debt, including us. These maps involve all of the custom solutions for extracting data that we have provided to clients over the years. No small feat. Shivanjan has been working with our web form platform, while more specifically he has been testing and documenting our upcoming web form upgrade. In the near future, we will be replacing our current web form with Onyx Edit Cloud. This will be a significant upgrade for our web form users, and we're all looking forward to it. There are a lot of other areas that the two new product coordinators have been working in, and all I can say is we do feel the immediate impact of their efforts at BookNet. We look forward to you working with them and them supporting you in all the ways their specific set of skills can help. They are so much better to work with than an AI. Before we get into BiblioShare numbers for 2023, I will mention two other new things in the works for BiblioShare. These new things, we hope, will also support you in your quest to be more agile in your projects by providing access to the information that you need. The information we are making available will be provided through our new APIs. The first is our author and title search API. Our goal here was to provide a service that can be used with keywords from titles or contributor. This is a new kind of API for us since currently most of our web services are ISBN based. We want users to be able to send a request with either title or contributor as the type, followed by a keyword from either of those fields. Here's a sample of the output from a query. I've hidden the token, was using my token, but it's a sample of the output from a query using Minette as the author keyword and nothing in the title field. And here's the same query, only this time I've added in house for the title keyword along with Minette. The results are nicely reduced to a handful of titles. I should also mention our Bibliomatic plugin comes in handy here as well, since the results in the view portal of the browser will add the Bibliomatic icon next to the ISBN, so you can quickly click to get more details about the title in question, like when was it last updated in BiblioShare? March 21st, 2024. So very much still a dynamic record that is coming into BiblioShare. This API could work nicely implemented into a search function on a website or some other place where you want to pull back a handful or hundreds of titles. And our other API we have worked on is equally exciting to us. It's our accessibility API for BiblioShare. So we're still working on this API, but it should be available very soon as part of our suite of web services. The API will return a list in JSON format, and this is just a sample. JSON format, you'll get the EAN, the title, the publisher, the pub date, and accessibility code descriptions for digital product, which accessibility metadata is available in Onyx. We plan to allow users to filter results using a publisher's name or a specific code that they are curious about. We're pretty excited about this API. We've seen accessibility become more and more urgent, more and more needed in the industry, and we hope by adding this discoverability tool that we help in our small way. I will also mention that this API represents the coming together of our new product coordinator and our new product, since Stephanie Small worked on the functional specifications for this API, a rite of passage in BiblioShare land. So look for the release of this API in the next month. That is really about it for the significant new things in BiblioShare. We hope you share our excitement in being able to bring better support, more agile development, and more useful ways of distributing all of this marvelous metadata in BiblioShare. And that is a perfect way to segue into BiblioShare by the numbers, where we look at, well, numbers. First up, the ONYX 2.1 dataset. In 2023, the BiblioShare ONYX 2.1 dataset grew by about 290,000 records. This is 62,000 more than what we received in 2022, but that was actually in 2022, we had 70,000 lower than what we received in 2021. So there's still some back and forth going on in the 2.1 dataset. Our 3.0 dataset did not see the same rate of growth as we saw in 2022. In 2022, we saw more than double the number of records year over year get added. But in 2023, there was about a 90% drop in the number of 3.0 records that were processed. I suppose this is a good place to remind you that BiblioShare treats 2.1 data and 3.0 data as completely discrete data sets. We don't do anything crazy like trying to fit the 2.1 data into the 3.0 framework, nor do we downgrade 3.0 data to the 2.1 framework. Although this means we are receiving what is basically duplicated data, 3.0 is not backwards compatible. At some point, 2.1 data will be a thing of the past, but until then, keep sending both your 2.1 and your 3.0 data. We really appreciate it. Now in this slide, we're looking at the daily average intake of data for both new records as well as updated records in BiblioShare. So everybody has to update their bibliographic data and we record that. Bibliographic data is not static, at least not until the thing it is describing is no longer available. So here we can see that the year 2023 kept pace with previous years. That's for 2.1 data. Looking at 3.0 data set, we see we're down a bit over 2022, and the average number of updated records has declined. So that's where we've seen the most decline. But on the whole, this data set continues to grow. Hopefully next year at this time, these numbers will be exponentially higher as there is less and less technical debt out there around the 2.1 data set. In 2023, all told, we created 65 new or newish accounts in BiblioShare. The breakdown of publisher and supplier ONYX accounts show us we are still adding more 2.1 accounts in 3.0, but in the year-over-year view, we added 40% fewer 2.1 accounts this year, while the number of 3.0 accounts added was on par with last year. The story we are seeing here is the slowly ending of the life of 2.1 ONYX and the continuing growth of 3.0. This certainly should be sending signals to all of our data end users out there. If you haven't worked out your 3.0 migration yet, better get on it. What continues to amaze us on the BiblioShare side of things at BookNet is the volume of consumption of our web services and use of Shopify plugin. We had 21 new accounts established for either using our web services or in order to support their Shopify stores. And we continue to build the holdings in BiblioShare of supporting materials. Here we see that we now have close to 3.8 million covers on hand, and that was 9% growth in our cover images. Interior images, which are clearly one of the most obvious supports for everything from art books to children's books when consumers are making buying decisions, grew by 15% in 2023 to reach almost 580,000 interior images. Author images continues to trickle along, and our author images grew by 4% in 2023. And here's a look at how the rest of the supporting materials database is growing. The explosive growth of the first couple of years for the samples and excerpts holdings has tapered off, but hopefully this is because we are just in a regular workflow. A regular workflow now to deliver those as part of your book records, and so there's no great backlog to be uploaded. At least that is my takeaway from looking at the numbers. And so always interesting to see what kind of data and how much of it we are continuously processing, but equally interesting is this question: is the data being used, and who is using all of this data? Well, once again, our web services were very, very busy. This 199 million number, 199 million plus, excludes any of our in-house use of the APIs. So any BookNet staff member who has a token, or any of our products that use our APIs, which is pretty well all of them, we do use the exact same APIs as we make available to the public for Bibliomatic, Catalyst, covers and sales data, etc. So we really see the value of the data. But this nearly 200 million number is all outside of BookNet. And here's a list of the active web services and what is being pulled. So obviously, Onyx is still very big, is the biggie. But I like seeing the image info service growth there. That is, I think, very meaningful, successful metric. That means people are leveraging really the timestamp that we provide in this service. I think it's mostly probably timestamp. So in the date process tag, you can see whether there's a newer image available than the one that you currently have. So you don't have to go out and pull down the image and then check it. Here, you have the timestamp. You can see, is it newer than what you have? So people really seem to be leveraging this service now before they go and do the work of downloading images. And here we have our top 25 plus 1 users of BiblioShare web services. And the cool thing about this list is that it shows the flexibility of the services. These users in this list are made up of solution providers like ReaderBound, in-house solutions like Whitehots, Shopify users, publisher sites, distributor sites, retail sites, and author sites. And of course, you may have noticed I left in the BookNet usage in this list. So BookNet products are in this list, and this is why I pushed it out to the top 25 plus 1, since the 26th position, you can see sales data. And if you don't know, sales data is using the cover image service from BiblioShare. So any covers you see in there are coming from the BiblioShare site. And that was a quick tour through 2023 for BiblioShare. Our focus remains on Onyx 3.0 data and migrating solutions and support to that data set. But we also have a couple of other projects keeping us up at night. Keep your eye on this space for a recap of your favorite supply chain series, The Supply Chain. What are they thinking up in that writer's room? Stay safe, and thank you.